everybody should at some point either ponder it or try, just try. Like explore a little bit and dip your toes into those waters and just see if it's right for you, because it might be. But do your homework, do some research, talk to people who who are veterans of non-monogamy, and get some advice, and learn how to go about it, because a lot of people, I think, kind of go in blind, because again, it's not talked about in the mainstream. So people don't really know what to do, and they don't know all the pitfalls and things that you should be cautious of and things like that. So I think it's important to do some research before exploring that of it. But I think everybody should, because you might find that it enhances your life. Maybe it doesn't, and then you can go back to the way things were. It's like, just because you engaged in, like went on a few dates and maybe slept with a few people, that doesn't change the relationship that you currently have, your main one. It's just a thing you did, and found out, oh, well, that doesn't work.
I can see the argument that it can change things, though. Especially since, toward the early part of the episode, you had mentioned, like, like say you start monogamous and then decide to become poly, things change, right? Like, of course, there's a lot of differences. Things have to be handled differently, like
not permanent, though. I mean, you can easily go back with that. Okay, so you had that experience, like, and that's the thing, is like, you have to have a solid relationship to be able, like, you got to be solid. But here's the thing, it's like, if you can't weather going out and exploring non-monogamy briefly, well, then your relationship isn't that sturdy to begin with. And maybe there's some work to be done to strengthen that.
I don't know. I think it's just two different kinds of strength. There's the strength that a tree has, which is actually a lot in its flexibility, right? Like when a high wind comes, the tree can bend and sway, but it always comes back to center. But then there's, like, if a car hits a tree, the tree is probably going to fall over. But if a car hits like a cement building, the car just, well, so like, there's something to be said for hard surfaces, and there's something to be said for flexibility. It really just depends on what's, what storm you're weathering.
Well, that's true, but this isn't, when it comes to relationships, things like that aren't like not physical. Binary. It's not a physical thing. It's in your head. Like those things that happen, right? Like if somebody partaking in other relationships, it's simply things that happen. What makes it affect you is how you perceive and how you respond to those things, which you can decide how you respond to that. Some people are more like inclined to always slide down the river, always do that.
What do you mean by that?
Well, oh boy.
I don't know the saying, so
I just made it up.
That's probably why I don't know it then.
Well, many people just sort of react to how they're immediately feeling, and as if what they're feeling is real, when in reality what they're feeling is a product of their experience and their perspective and the way that they perceive the world and themselves. Because a lot of things, like jealousy, for instance, it's not about the other person, it's about you. You make yourself jealous. Somebody else doesn't do that. Like, you do it to yourself. And so, but that's the thing. What was I trying to say there?
Something about a river.
Well, yeah, the river thing. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, you can just roll with your emotions, whatever however they are fed to you, or you can choose how you interpret those feelings, and how you analyze and how you see the situation, like how you interpret that.
Oh yeah, that makes sense, because I mean, I could see two different ways on that, because I'm all about improving oneself, and never ending, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, it never will. Yeah.
But it's also like sometimes you don't really have the bandwidth to work on a thing right now.
No.
And something, like, let's say with the case of like jealousy or something, like if there's something is going to make you jealous, and you make it known that would make you jealous, and the person that you're with and you trust and depend on does it anyway, you may not have, well, I think the current way to say it is, you may not have the spoons right now to work on that part of yourself, like.
Yeah, and I wouldn't recommend people just go out right away and just start exploring. Yeah, you got to be in the right mindset, which does take preparation. Like I said, research things, read a few books. There's a few books out there that are pretty good. The Ethical Slut is one. More Than Two is another good book. There's a whole bunch of books out there that are pretty good, that kind of give you a little bit of a toolbox, essentially. But I think everybody should at some point try. Because here's the thing, even if you decide that it's not for you, overcoming the kinds of feelings that we're or overcoming our programming has an effect that reaches way beyond relationships. Like my involvement in polyamory and non-monogamy has enhanced so much more than just the way I deal with people, my own interactions with people. It has changed the way that I interact with the world and the things that happen around me, and in a good way. Like I am a very different person because of that. And it's also, the introspection and pondering. It's like, instead of when I feel a certain feeling, instead of just reacting to it like, oh God, I'm, feeling jealous or whatever, I stop and I think, why am I feeling this way? And is it valid for me to feel this way? And if it is, like, if there is some validity, then it's like, I will bring that up in some way to the other person, maybe express my concerns or my feelings and stuff. And that usually quells that pretty quickly. But it's important because it's conflict resolution.
Yeah.
Like those are things that, like, learning how to deal with that, how to calmly and rationally deal with the feelings, because we all have feelings. That's an important skill, and I think challenging yourself occasionally, and trying to overcome those things could be beneficial, even in a monogamous relationship.
So this episode's so good, I keep coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
Do you think teenagers could handle something like a poly relationship with all those hormones and all that inexperience?
Maybe. I mean, maybe that might be a good place to start that. But again, it's like we're programmed, like societally, we're programmed to be monogamous, even though genetically we're not. Genetically, we're non-monogamous. It's society that programs us to be monogamous. And that's actually, I think, one of the key things that is, like, therein lies the origin of the struggle. All the strife stems from that like, inherently in our genetics, we are not monogamous. We're not monogamous beings, but yet society tells us. I've got a book on that if you want to read it.
But I mean, like, I was actually like on that side of the fence in the last episode, but now that I think about it, genetically, I think that's a gray area, because the nuclear family aspect is not only like present in the rest of the animal kingdom in a pretty great degree, but it's also something that has been part of human society for so long that the tendency toward that family altruism and so on and so forth has actually been selected for a lot. And normal evolution, like random mutations and random selection and of those things based on survival and things like that, that takes a lot longer than preference selection. I just started getting like another awesome idea. Like, I wonder if economics and politics actually play a huge role in relationship styles.
Ooh.
Because capitalism and all that stuff is kind of what traps people in the need for a nuclear family.
Yeah. Well, that's coming up. We'll make it a point to do
Coming
that.
soon to a kitchen sink near you.